The term loon comes from an Old English word meaning a diver. We have 5 different species of loons in Canada.
Today on Going Deeper, we're going to look at loons. We're going to watch a baby loon hatch. We're going to watch loons learning how to feed. We're going to watch adult loons going underwater and trying to catch their prey. We're going to listen to the loons. We're going to have a great time. I hope that you enjoy. Come on. Get to hang out till the end of the video because that's when I'll include one of my favorite perspectives of a loon.
Loons have to be one of the most iconic animals, or at least birds, when you think of the Muskoka or Northern Ontario. The sound that they make echoes through the night air or the evening air. It's amazing getting to hear a loon. It's one of my favorite sounds of going up to the cottage country. But often when you see them, they tend to be looking underwater. And I'm not sure if they're looking at the fish directly below them or at a distance. But imagine you could see from their perspective what they were looking at. And I actually had that opportunity because I found a spot where they were feeding and hunting. They would actually gather in large groups in this location year after year. And so I've been able to observe and document and get some pretty cool footage of these amazing birds. The common loon is the bird that we're going to be looking at in this video. The common loon can be identified by its summer breeding plumage. Its iridescent black head and neck, black and white checkered back, black bill, those beady red eyes, 2 white necklaces, one bigger and one smaller. Loons are actually in the same family as pelicans and gannets. In the wintertime, they turn to a more molted brown coloration with dark feathers on their head and upper parts, which are lighter underneath. Some of the things that I would love to learn and I wasn't able to figure out or find out is, what is the success rate of a loon hunting underwater? I've been able to watch it from above water and in the water, but I'm not sure how often they actually are able to catch a fish because they don't always bring it to the surface to show. And look at how quickly and beautifully they can swim and just vanish. Most of the time they duck head first, but you just noticed him go under, or her go under, in a different way. I wonder what that means. Is it maybe a mating thing?
I'm on this tour with this lady. We've already seen foxes and I'm trying to tell her where to go. And I'm like, this is where we need to go. And she's like, but I want to go this way. And I was like, well, I think we should go this way. Eventually she listens to me, and as we get to the spot, she looks at me and she's like, I should have listened to you from the beginning.
Common loons eat fish as their main food source. However, they will scavenge for other types of prey if needed, like amphibians, crustaceans, rodents, insects, larvae, even muskrats. These birds are often seen floating, scanning for fish below the surface of the water. You can occasionally see them diving head first into the water from great heights in order to catch a meal. It's believed that loons eat about 3 pounds of fish per day. To get a better understanding of the loons, we should probably dive underwater and see what it's all about. Find their food source and study them below the surface. What do you think? It's amazing watching them swim or glide through the water. They're so graceful. Here we can actually see one actually catch a fish. Watch it. Oh, there. And now this one has one, and it's eating it. I'm not fully sure why it's dunking it and flipping it around. Maybe it's just trying to get it at the right angle. Maybe it just needs some hot sauce on it. Is that what the issue is? You need some flavor? So over the years, I've been coming back to the same spot, and I've been noticing something that's kind of disturbing. The loons come back, but the number of fish that are there that number has gone way down. Look back to the beginning of the video. Look at how many fish were at that spot. I'm at the same spot, and the loons keep swimming around, looking for food. And this is the largest group I saw of minnows the last time I was there in 2022. I wonder what's going on. I hope one day I can figure it out, or someone can figure it out, and we can get some food for the loons, because, man, I'd hate to lose them. Not only is the loon important in, like, northern Canada, but it's actually on our money. Canada has money that has a loon on it. And I actually met this guy who, he's got this laser, and he said he could do this really cool thing, and he engraved my logo on it. I'm not sure if it's legal or not, but I thought it was pretty cool to get my logo engraved on a loony. What are your thoughts? Leave them in the comments. I'd love to understand how this laser was actually cutting. Like when I was making my Damascus knife, Rob, he taught me how things were going. This is just, I was given this loony and the end product. I don't fully understand how the engraving works. In Canada, we have a coin not only called a loony, but also a toonie. And this is a photo that I call a toonie. But the reason I love this photo is it's two loons hugging. And I think hugs are something that the world needs more of. And if the loons can do it, why can't we? Of course, that photo ended up in my gallery in Algonquin Park. 2022 was a special year for me in Algonquin Park. I spent a lot of time on my kayak. This one time I got to my kayak in Algonquin Park, and I spent this time looking for moose. But I actually found this loon, and he just hung out with me. And as I was getting my GoPro ready, I put it in the water, and I'm not sure if I've even turned it on, but the loon's swimming right at me, and I think I got my camera on, and I just so enthralled in the moment, and yeah, the light was on. And loons have a diverse habitat. They live on freshwater lakes and even ponds. Loons may also inhabit large inland waterways that have plenty of shallow areas where it can rest comfortably on the bottom of the riverbed. And then a German family showed up.
So this bird right here is the loon.
They were excited to learn about this new bird.
It is basically a duck, but it's a cool duck.
Normally you see them stretching their wings or just floating. But one day I heard this weird noise, and I looked over, and all of a sudden this loon was flying. And I'm not joking, there was a little piece of me that didn't realize or fully know that loons flew. Like I knew they had to, or else there'd just be a giant pool of loons somewhere. And I'd be really mad at my friends for not telling me. But I saw this thing take off, and it was crazy. I just watched it just glide. It sounded similar to a swan taking off. It seems like it's got to pump its wings really hard and run for a while until it can get the force to actually fly. This next story is a little bit sad. So I was driving in the park one day, and I noticed this raven pecking on what I can tell was a shell, and then it flew off. And as I turned around, I noticed this shell, and it was next to this nest of turtle shells that had been dug up by a fox. And I'd never seen this kind of shell. So I took a picture of it, and I showed it to some park officials, and they told me that it was a loon egg. And I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy. So I just saw my first baby loon come out of a shell. Unfortunately, it was taken out. Well, on a trip later on that summer, I came back to that spot that I found the egg, and I saw these two parent loons that they just looked really sad. And I have a feeling that they were missing their baby, because the baby was about to hatch, if I'm not mistaken, based on the other eggs that I saw that day. It seems as if they lost both of their babies. That must be a really tough season on these two birds. And then I heard that noise.
So they're saying that loons fly. Man, that's crazy. I wonder why they group up in large groups like that.
Although it is not known exactly how many loons exist, it is estimated that there are about 500,000 to 700,000 individual birds found in North America. I think I've seen maybe 30 to maybe 35 birds, well, loons in the same spot. And I know what they were doing. I'm pretty sure they were gathering for their mating rituals. They came in to feed for a while, and then they started to look for mates. That's why I was able to get that hugging picture. You'll also notice that the colors on the chests and necks are so bright and vibrant. They're only this way when they're mating. I also love the fact that there are so many birds of different species that are able to get along together. Because there's so much food, the birds aren't fighting over the territory, and they're actually getting pretty close to each other. I would assume if food was scarce that there might be territorial fights over this feeding ground, but the loons don't seem to mind, and the other birds don't seem to mind. Common loons are a type of bird that is not known for being sociable. In fact, they have a reputation for being one of the most antisocial birds in North America. This notion comes from their tendency to stay away from others and avoid interactions with them at all costs. However, this was disproven not only by this video, but by scientists who found out that common loons do interact with other types of birds like gulls and cormorants during nesting season, as well as migrating seasons. It's pretty amazing getting to see one or even two loons, but watching these large groups of loons come together has been an awesome experience. And a group of loons is known as an asylum, or a cry, or even a water dance. So this right here is a water dance of loons. Man, that's an interesting name to me. I wonder how they come up with these names of groups of animals, because there's some of them out there that are pretty fun and pretty cool. It's awesome when the loons are active, and it's even more amazing when they're actually interacting with each other. And these loons seem to have some kind of interaction in the way that they're putting their heads down, I feel, and how they shake their feathers. And you can actually see at some points that one will actually go under the water. If you look here, and then it like chases one as it runs across the top of the water. I feel that that's got to be looking so cool under the water. And unfortunately, I was never close enough to get footage of what's actually happening at that point. The common loon is a large bird that has an unmistakable sound. The loon's song consists of a few notes: the wail, tremolo, the hoot, and the yodel. The sound of the common loon is so loud and haunting, it can be heard over a mile away. These sounds are made in succession during courtship displays and territorial fights with other loons. They can also be made during nest building activities or when predators are nearby. so cool to watch them run across the water. The common loon is a water bird that lives in the northern hemisphere. They swim by moving their feet and by using their wings as paddles to push against the water's surface. But what happens when they run on the water? Loons can stay underwater for 5 to 10 minutes. The average loon is 30 inches long, with a wingspan of about 4 feet. Male loons are usually larger than females, but it can be difficult to tell them apart. The biggest difference between males and females are that males have brighter plumage, with more reds and blues, while female feathers appear more brownish or gray. But now that we've seen a little bit of the mating, let's get back to that egg that I found.
I'm talking to a few of them and they end up telling me that it's a loon shell. And through the conversation, this amazing man named Simon comes out of the place and he's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, nope, it's positive. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. And then he started telling me and showing me pictures about this loon.
I get super excited and head off and I'm like, well, I'm going to go see some baby loons now. And I actually didn't expect to actually see the loons because it was a lake and I didn't have a kayak. But I knew where I was going, and when I got there, there was a loon on the nest, and it was amazing. I've never been this close to a loon that was sitting still, and then it moved and showed the eggs. I'm not sure how long the loon has actually been on the nest, or actually the male and the female actually alternate who is on the nest, and I'm not sure how long the eggs have been incubated for, but the day's amazing and I've already had such a fantastic day that I'm just gonna enjoy this moment. And I've never even seen a loon sitting on a nest, so I'm just gonna watch and enjoy. And man, it's so cool that it's moving and playing with these eggs. Not only am I getting to see the eggs, I'm getting to see rotation and movement of the eggs. Wait, what? Do you see that? That's a hole in the egg. Oh my goodness. One of them's trying to come out. Oh, well, I guess I now have to sit down. Remember that saying earlier that I showed? If an egg is broken by an outside force, life ends. If it's broken by an inside force, life begins. Great things always begin from the inside. That's an amazing quote. And it's crazy that on the same day that I saw an egg being broken into by an outside force, I'm about to now witness an inside force break out of an egg. This is amazing. The day, the weather, there's so many things perfect about this moment. And the only thing that would make it better is if the baby comes out now. I've got mom. Oh, what? Okay. Oh, well, I didn't think that both loons would actually show up. So I guess one's mom, one's dad. And I wonder if these are the loons that I saw earlier that were mating. Imagine. Can anyone actually figure out how I can identify these ones with maybe ones I saw earlier? That would be a pretty cool thing. Adult loons are mainly only threatened by bald eagles and ospreys, but their eggs and young fledglings can fall prey to foxes, heron, mergansers, which is a type of duck, snapping turtles, raccoons, otters, and fish, such as muskie and northern pike. Another threat is from human activities. Fishing equipment, such as lures, hooks, fishing lines, and nets, can cause them to become entangled in the lines, causing them to drown. Humans who accidentally scare birds away from their nest areas. Loons come to shore only to nest, usually laying 2 olive-brown eggs with darker spots on a heap of vegetation near the water's edge. Both parents will incubate the nest for about 4 weeks and assist in rearing young. The uniformly grayish young leave the nest soon after hatching and often ride the parents' back. The average lifespan of a common loon is around 20 years. They look very awkward on land, as a loon's center of gravity is too far back for them to balance on their legs. They cannot stand up straight because they are so top-heavy. And I'm sitting here and I'm not fully sure what's going on, but I can tell that there's some kind of communication going on between mom and dad. I sit back and watch and I just observe and I'm trying to figure out what's going on and what's about to happen, and all of a sudden I hear this beep from my camera and dad moves and my camera dies. But at least I got to enjoy it. I now think that this one is mom and mom's on the nest now. I'm not fully sure, but can you confirm or deny which one's which? I'm not 100%, but I think this one is the female. We can definitely see that the egg has progressed nicely, so hopefully this happens soon. Loon chicks are born with a dark yellow downy coat with a white belly, and they are very small. Once these chicks hatch, they will ride on the parent's back for safety and warmth. Safety from predators from below and above, and warmth from those downy feathers that mom and dad have. It isn't until 10 to 12 weeks old that baby loons actually can fly. If you listen closely, I think you can actually hear the baby starting to talk.
I just heard the chicks, or the chick. A little squeak.
Wow, this is so cool. I'm so glad that Scott came out and told me about the loon nest. I hope it's okay that I'm not talking too much. I want you guys to be able to enjoy the sounds that the baby are making. Pay attention under the wing that's moving. You can now see the baby starting to move. We're the first thing that the baby is seeing. We actually can't see it because we're hidden. But the timing that I must have had for today to work out. Like, what are the chances that I saw the egg being broken at the side of the road? What are the chances that I found the egg and found someone that knew where a nest was and then told me where the nest was, and I was able to find the nest? And then on the day that I show up, within moments of me showing up, I see the baby loon coming out of the shell for the first time. This is an absolutely magical moment that I'll forever remember, and I'm so glad that I was able to share. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit sad that my camera battery did die when they were changing nests, but it happens. I'm glad that I was at least able to enjoy it. And I hope that you're enjoying this footage of this baby loon crawling and fighting its first moments in the world. This is a magical moment that I think very few people will ever actually get to experience, and I feel blessed for being able to not only experience but able to capture it and share it with people. Please leave your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever experienced something like this? Whether it be the timing or just such a magical moment. And now they can get away and run around. They're no longer trapped in the egg. I guess you're gonna need some games to play and entertain them. Do you have any? Oh, that's a great game. My buddy Bones was telling me about it. The Canadian wildlife game.
Today on Going Deeper, Bones, loons. There's so much to know about loons. One day I hope I see young loons swimming with mom and sitting on her back. Or dad. It doesn't matter.
And I didn't have the chance to come back when they were really young. They weren't able to sit on mom and dad's back. But I did head back and find the two that hatched earlier. And when I got to the water, mom or maybe dad was doing this weird flick with the water. I've never seen a loon do that. I'm assuming that's part of its preening process. But that was a great start to my day. It went on for a little while. One of the main reasons I brought my kayak today was because I wanted to actually investigate the nest. The female will actually build this bowl-shaped nest out of the aquatic vegetation, such as bulrushes and grasses. She then lines it with soft plant material to keep the eggs warm while she is incubating them. In North America, loons nest in lakes near large trees or tall bushes to afford protection from wind. The male often stays on the nest to keep watch while she's out feeding. It seems like, based on my observation, that as the loons get older, one parent will take some time alone while the other one works on teaching them skills. Because soon they're going to have to work on the migration, because they're not going to stay in this lake for the winter. The typical length of the migration will depend on where they're actually migrating from and to, but this tends to take them about 3 to 6 months. The length of the migration path can actually take them anywhere from 25,000 kilometers to 45,000 kilometers. Loons have been known to actually swim over 100 miles per day. You can see these baby loons are actually learning how to swim for maybe the first time. Maybe they've been practicing for a bit, but you can see them practicing their swimming, and it seems like they're getting better. And it's cool listening to the conversation back and forth between the parent and the children. With one last big stretch, this training's about to get serious. I'm going to go quiet for a little bit so that we can just sit back and enjoy. I really wish I knew what the loon was saying. I know that this call is way different than the loon call when they were mating. I'm not gonna lie, every loon I see from now on is gonna be one of these two baby loons. I'll call them Loony and Toony. I know I'm not really that original. Have you ever had a loon experience? I'd love to hear about it. Leave it in the comments. Tell me about it. Don't forget to like and share the videos. Please subscribe to my channel and check out other videos. I have some pretty cool ones.
I hope that you've enjoyed our time together learning about loons. That was a pretty cool experience getting to see that loon hatch. And now for an amazing loon experience. Check this out.
So normally when you see a loon, you see it floating on top of the water looking down. But now we're underwater looking up at a loon. Oh. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I hope you enjoyed. Stay safe, have fun, and keep enjoying the wildlife.